bigger drone carrying a larger payload, weapon load. But I'm sure they would have found out something, because I don't see any debris around that,
That's right.
just the crater.
That's
So
right.
until I really find something that what has caused it, so it is anybody's guess. But the point is that any warhead is a warhead. It can, if it was in a populated area, it would have created quite a havoc. Luckily, it has fallen in a open field. But I see it as probably either it is a misdirected thing, or some drone, or if it is a bomb, then it is accidentally fallen bomb, and not really the targeted one.
Was about drone capabilities. What we saw, the visuals coming in from Khasa and Amritsar, the drone debris that we saw from Khasapur, Amritsar, the Khasa and Amritsar is pretty much a 5 kg explosive and two of these. So our understanding is that this becomes a 10 kg munition which can be carried in one single drone. But then you're saying that drones also have the capability of carrying higher payloads. What are the kind of drones that Pakistan has which can carry higher than 10 kg of payload, sir?
Pakistan has a very large number of UAVs which can carry that higher loads. Mostly are from the Turkish origin. There are some which are of the Chinese origin, but certainly there are Turkish origin drones which have proven their worth in Ukraine, and possibly that those could be the one. But the one which is you're talking about, Amritsar 5 kg and all, these are the usual. They are not the high-end drones. They are the normal drones which can possibly carry that kind of load. It is, but 10 kg is a good amount of load if it falls in any civilian populated area. So that is how the drone warfare makes it very complicated, because it half the time it goes unguided. It can cause fear psychosis. It can cause a lot of damage to civilian populace. They are not like a typical precise munitions that are being targeted, say, from the Indian side, or
Yeah.
in a typical warfare. What would happen? These are the one which are rogue drones. They could land anywhere, and that is how they make things very complicated for the air defense systems.
And in fact, we have got some breaking news also coming in, Karthik. We have been given to understand that Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is going to hold a very crucial meet with the Tri-Services Chief in a short while from now. What could it be? We will continue to track all of those updates here at News 9. But the other breaking news that is also coming in, is about the Marco Rubio's conversation with Asim Munir. And I believe that this is the second such conversation that he is going to have with Asim Munir. We are waiting for some more updates with regards to that call to appear at News 9 through our sources. But what does that exactly indicate? Because US State Secretary is speaking to Pakistan's army chief for the second time, Karthik. It does show that the situation has escalated to several folds. That some state secretary has to speak directly to the Pakistan's
To the
army
army
chief for the
general.
second time. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, my understanding is a slightly, it's a little differing. I believe that, US is a little confused right now on its own foreign policy, number one.
Absolutely.
And why I say this is because you have a President Donald Trump who says that, hey, the war has been on for 1,000 years, 1,500 years, for
100 years,
centuries. I
yes.
mean, these are the statements that come out from the President of the United States. J.D. Vance, who was in India on the day of the horrific Pahalgam attacks, on the
Yes.
22nd of April. He was in India that very day, preceding that day and succeeding that day as well. But on 22nd of April, he was very much in India. He goes back, and the statement he makes is that, hey, it is none of our
Fundamentally, it's none
business.
of our business, yes.
I mean, those are the words coming from the Vice President of the United States. And then you have this sort of split, sort of mixed response coming from Marco Rubio, who's not just Secretary of State, who's also the National Security Advisor, and hence, in his capacity capacity as NSA for the US, it is not unprecedented for him to be speaking to a general, of another nation. But as Secretary of State, of course, the protocol is a little different. So in his dual capacity as NSA, he's speaking, of course, to General Asim Munir. That is something that we are hearing. We don't really know the contours of that conversation.
In fact, we got the reaction from Tammy Bruce as well during the press briefing when she was asked about it. And she has condemned the Pahalgam terrorist attack, but at the same time, look at the developments.
Just condemning a terrorist attack is obviously the rule book of diplomacy. You will obviously go ahead and condemn it. But
and
the
still
point
the funding has been passed.
You've still gone ahead and given the $1 billion funding to Pakistan. So that speaks of the double standards. And more importantly, you can't at this stage say, hey, it is on both the nations to de-escalate. I think as US, as the big brother role that US has been portraying and pretending to be playing for the last many decades now, I think it is fairly obvious and US has to call out Pakistan's bluff and state it out there that Pakistan is a terrorist harboring nation, and Pakistan's own endeavors to attack, to protect its terrorists which perpetrate attacks on India has to be condemned. Pakistan has to be condemned by global leaders and not just terrorist attacks on India. Marshal Rana, let me take that to you. So the double standards of the US, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I think at some level they are portraying their double standards once again, and at another level they are going ahead and telling that it is on both the countries to de-escalate. How is it on both the countries to de-escalate, sir?
I get the same sense that US as of now is very confused how to portray their position. And thereby trying on all fronts that which would pacify Pakistan in some ways and which would also pacify India. Rightly so, it's a kind of double standards. IMF loan sanction yesterday night is one example, because they could have either delayed it, they could have put conditions, but without any putting any conditions, without having any this thing, it's just gone through. And 16% of those votes actually lie with the US. So US, in fact, has a biggest role to play as far as this IMF transit that has been cleared for Pakistan. Or at the same time, India being their newfound strategic ally, so to say, they would want to project that they are with India. And that's why those all signaling which came from Vance, and also a very casual remark coming from Trump that, okay, let them handle this issue between themselves. So this positively shows their double standards. It shows their confusion that how to take sides in this, because probably they want to keep both sides happy. At the end of the day, we must know that US does not side with anyone unless they have their own interests in mind, and that is the bottom line.
Right.
So their interest.
Yeah.
So General Chopra, I think the vested interest of even IMF passing that $1 billion loan sanction, the bailout package of $7 billion, out of which $1 billion has been approved, is pretty simply because US owns the majority of the voting rights at IMF for Pakistan to go ahead and buy more ammunition from the US, isn't it, sir?
Absolutely. That's precisely what I said.
So it's a circular economy that we are talking about. US is lending to Pakistan for Pakistan to buy from the US.
Absolutely. I mean, this has been their policy all along. I mean, you see the Gulf War, you see any of the wars wherever they have gone, they have always put their interests ahead of any other policy. So in this case also, it happens the same.